Part 1. The white chamber stretched endlessly in every direction. Jake Morrison stood in the center, his boots making no sound on the smooth floor. Above him, 17 alien beings floated in a perfect circle. Each one represented a different species from across the galaxy. Some looked like giant insects with too many legs. Others resembled floating crystals that pulsed with inner light. One appeared to be made entirely of flowing water, somehow holding its shape without a container. Jake wore his formal naval uniform. The dark blue fabric felt heavy on his shoulders. He had been a commander in Earth's Space Defense Force for 12 years. Now he stood alone, representing all of humanity before these cosmic judges. His hands stayed at his sides. He refused to show fear. The largest alien descended slightly. Its body reminded Jake of a massive squid, but with golden scales instead of skin. 6 eyes studied him from different angles. When it spoke, the words came through a device that translated the sounds into English. I am Vorthak, speaker for the Galactic Council. We have observed your species for 60 Earth years. We have watched you war among yourselves. We have seen you pollute your world. We have witnessed your primitive attempts to reach beyond your own star system. Jake said nothing. He had been instructed to listen first. Vorthak continued. The Council has reached a decision. Humanity is not ready for independence among the civilized species. You are too violent, too unpredictable, too dangerous to yourselves and potentially to others. The other aliens made sounds. Some clicked. Others hummed. One released a smell like burning copper. Jake guessed they were agreeing with Vorthak. Therefore, Vorthak said, the Council offers you protection. You will dismantle all military weapons. You will cease your space exploration programs. You will accept Council governors who will guide your development. In time, perhaps in a few thousand years, you may earn the right to govern yourselves. Jake felt his jaw tighten. They were offering slavery and calling it mercy. You have 72 hours to accept these terms, Vorthak added. Your leaders will signal their acceptance by powering down all military installations and opening your communication networks to Council oversight. For a long moment, Jake stood silent. He thought about his daughter back home. She was 8 years old. He thought about his wife, a doctor who saved lives every day. He thought about the billions of humans who simply wanted to live free. And if we refuse? Jake asked. His voice echoed in the chamber. The aliens reacted with sounds that the translator interpreted as laughter. The crystalline beings chimed like breaking glass. The insect creatures rubbed their legs together, creating a sound like rattling chains. Even Vorthak's body rippled in what might have been amusement. Refuse? Vorthak said. You have no capacity to refuse. We have 300 warships in your system. Each one carries enough firepower to sterilize your planet's surface. Your most advanced weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Your fastest ships cannot outrun our slowest cargo vessels. Another alien spoke up. This one looked almost human, but with purple skin and no hair. If you refuse, we will blockade your world. No supplies in or out. We will watch as you consume yourselves. When you are desperate enough, you will beg for the mercy we offer now. Jake nodded slowly. He walked forward until he stood directly beneath Vorthak. The alien was easily 3 times his size. Jake looked up at those 6 golden eyes. Then let me make sure I understand correctly, Jake said. You're threatening to destroy or starve my entire species because you think we're too violent and dangerous. Precisely, Vorthak said. Jake smiled. It was not a friendly expression. You really don't see the irony in that, do you? Vorthak's eyes narrowed. You will answer in 72 hours. Agree to our terms or face the consequences. Jake took a step back. He straightened his uniform jacket. He looked around the circle at each alien representative. Then he spoke words that he had rehearsed 100 times on his journey to this meeting. I want each of you to remember this moment, Jake said. His voice was calm but carried a weight that made even the translator pause. I want you to remember that we asked you to leave us alone, that we wanted nothing more than to explore the stars in peace, and I want you to remember that you came to our home and threatened everyone we love. Your point? Vorthak asked. Jake met the alien's gaze. My point is that you came here believing you could intimidate us into submission. You thought showing us your ships and your technology would make us grovel, but you made one critical mistake. And what mistake is that? The purple-skinned alien asked. You assumed we would be afraid, Jake said. You're right that humanity is violent. You're right that we war among ourselves. But you know what we've learned from 10,000 years of fighting? We've learned that some things are worth dying for. Freedom is one of them. Vorthak's body shifted colors, turning from gold to a deep red. You speak of dying as if it's noble. We offer you life under our protection. You offer us chains, Jake said. And humans break chains. It's what we do. It's what we've always done. The chamber fell silent. Several aliens leaned forward as if trying to understand this strange creature that refused to show proper fear. Jake continued, "So here's Earth's answer to your ultimatum. We refuse. We will not dismantle our defenses. We will not surrender our freedom. We will not bow to you or anyone else." "Then you choose extinction," Vorthak said. Jake shook his head. "No, we choose to fight. And if we lose, if you turn our planet to dust, then at least we'll die on our feet instead of living on our knees." He turned toward the exit. The door slid open, revealing the corridor beyond. "Wait," Vorthak called out. "You understand what you're condemning your species to? Billions will die." Jake stopped at the threshold. He looked back over his shoulder. "Billions of humans have lived and died fighting for freedom," he said. "That's what makes us human. That's what you'll never understand sitting up here in your perfect chamber. You've forgotten what it means to struggle. You've forgotten what it means to really fight for something." He paused, then delivered his final words. "You came here to make us submit. But all you've done is unite us. Every human on Earth will hear about this threat, and they'll do what humans always do when backed into a corner. They'll fight back with everything they have." Jake stepped toward the door. "You have sealed your destiny," he said. "You just don't know it yet." He walked out without looking back. The door closed behind him, leaving the council in stunned silence. In the chamber, the aliens began to speak among themselves. Most dismissed Jake's words as the desperate bravado of a doomed species, but a few, the older ones who had studied history, felt something they hadn't experienced in centuries. They felt doubt. Part 3, the 72 hours passed like a held breath. When the deadline arrived, Earth sent no surrender signal. The Galactic Council fleet began moving into attack positions. Captain Amy Rodriguez floated in the command center of Guardian 7, one of Earth's orbital defense platforms. The station had been disguised as a communications satellite for years. Now its true purpose was revealed. Amy was 32 years old. She had joined the Space Force straight out of college. "This platform was her first command status report," Amy said, keeping her voice calm. Her crew needed to see confidence, not fear. Lieutenant Danny Foster checked his screens. All weapon systems green. Railguns charged and ready. Missile tubes loaded. Enemy fleet at 300,000 kilometers in closing. Amy looked at the tactical display. 300 alien warships approached in a standard battle formation. They moved slowly, arrogantly. They expected no real resistance. "How long until they reach optimal firing range?" Amy asked. 12 minutes, Danny replied. Amy activated the comm system. "This is Guardian 7 to all defense platforms. Maintain radio silence until they cross the activation line. On my mark, we light them up." 16 other platforms acknowledged with simple clicks. They were scattered across Earth's orbit, positioned to create overlapping fields of fire. The aliens thought they were just satellites. That mistake was about to cost them. The alien fleet continued forward. Vorthak sat in his command ship watching the primitive planet on his screens. No defense satellites had powered up. No missiles had launched. The humans were accepting their fate quietly. "Pitiful," he muttered to his second in command. "They bark loudly but have no bite." "Should we proceed with the bombardment?" his officer asked. "Not yet," Vorthak said. "Give them one final chance to surrender. Open a channel to their president." On Earth, President Hamilton received the incoming transmission. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked at General Blake. "Are all units in position?" she asked. Henry nodded. "Everyone's ready, Madam President." Claire straightened her jacket and accepted the call. Vorthak's face appeared on the screen, his 6 eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "Your time has expired," the alien said. "This is your final opportunity. Surrender now or watch your cities burn." Claire looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "I have a counteroffer," she said. "Turn your ships around and leave our system. Go back to your council and tell them that Earth is not for sale, not for rent, and definitely not for conquest." Vorthak's body flushed deep purple with anger. "You dare? You have no leverage, no hope. No chance of victory, don't I?" Claire replied. She nodded to someone off screen. In orbit, Amy Rodriguez received the signal. "All platforms, this is Guardian 7, light them up. Fire at will." Suddenly, space around Earth blazed with light. What the aliens thought were simple satellites revealed themselves as weapons platforms. Railguns fired metal slugs at incredible speeds. Missiles launched in coordinated volleys. Focused energy beams cut through the darkness. The alien vanguard took the full force of the first strike. 7 ships exploded immediately, their shields overwhelmed by the unexpected assault. Debris scattered across the void. Alien crews scrambled to respond, but confusion reigned. Where had these weapons come from? Multiple hits on enemy formation, Danny reported, his voice rising with excitement. We've got 8 confirmed kills. They're breaking formation. Amy watched the tactical display. The aliens were pulling back, trying to reorganize, but the platforms kept firing. Every shot had been planned and calculated. Earth's defenders might have inferior technology, but they had spent years studying alien ships from recovered probe data. They knew exactly where to aim. Target that cruiser on our left, Amy ordered. Concentrate fire. 3 platforms focused their weapons on a single alien ship. The vessel's shields held for almost 10 seconds. Then they collapsed. Railgun slugs tore through the hull. The ship split apart, venting atmosphere and bodies into space. Vorthak stared at his screens in disbelief. How? Their technology should be centuries behind ours. His tactical officer's hands moved frantically across controls. They're using kinetic weapons, simple ballistic projectiles fired at extreme velocity. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons. They're less effective against physical objects at these speeds. Then adjust the shields, Vorthak roared. Already doing so, but it takes time. Time was something the aliens didn't have. The human platforms continued their relentless assault. Another alien ship exploded. Then another. The carefully organized fleet formation began to fall apart as ships tried to move out of range. On Earth's surface, massive electromagnetic pulse generators activated. These had been built over the past decade, hidden in remote locations. They couldn't affect ships in high orbit, but any alien vessel that came closer found their systems disrupted. Navigation went haywire. Weapons targeting became erratic. One alien destroyer attempting to get into position to bombard the platforms suddenly lost control. Its engines fired randomly, sending it spinning. It collided with another ship. Both vessels tumbled out of orbit, breaking apart as they fell. This is impossible, Vorthak shouted. They're primitives. His second-in-command pulled up damage reports. Commander, we've lost 23 ships in the first engagement. 17 more are damaged. The humans have only lost 4 of their platforms. Vorthak's eyes narrowed. Bring the fleet about. Full offensive formation. Deploy all fighter craft. I want those platforms reduced to scrap. The alien fleet regrouped. This time they came prepared. Shields were adjusted to better handle kinetic weapons. Fighter craft swarmed ahead of the capital ships, providing screens and targets. The aliens brought their superior numbers and technology to bear. Guardian 7 shook as alien weapons fire struck its shields. Amy gripped her command chair. Divert power from non-essential systems to shields. Keep firing. Shields at 60%, Danny called out. 5 enemy fighters incoming. Point defense systems. Engage, Amy ordered. Automated turrets tracked the small alien craft and opened fire. 2 fighters exploded immediately. A third took damage and spun away, but the other 2 got through. They fired at point-blank range. Guardian 7's forward section took direct hits. Alarms blared. Hull breaches were reported on decks 3 and 4. The platform's rotation became unstable. We're venting atmosphere, Danny said. Hull integrity failing, Amy made a decision. All non-essential personnel to escape pods now. Crew members abandoned their stations and headed for the evacuation points. Amy and Danny stayed at their posts along with a handful of others who refused to leave. Captain, you should go, Danny said. Amy shook her head. Not yet. We can still fight. She targeted the nearest alien battlecruiser. Guardian 7 might be dying, but it could still hurt the enemy. The railguns fired one last volley. The shot struck the alien ship's engines. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull. Another impact rocked Guardian 7. The lights flickered and died. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. That's it, Amy said quietly. Everyone out. That's an order. The remaining crew ran for the escape pods. Amy was the last to leave. She took one final look at her command center, then sealed the hatch behind her. The escape pod launched just as Guardian 7 broke apart. Amy watched through the small window as her station disintegrated, its pieces spinning away into the dark. But she also saw the alien ships retreating. She saw 3 more platforms still firing. She saw debris from dozens of alien vessels floating in orbit. "We hurt them," she whispered. "We actually hurt them." Her pod began its descent to Earth. Around the planet, the battle continued. The aliens had superior technology in numbers, but humanity had something they didn't expect. Humanity had the fury of a species fighting for its survival, and they had weapons the Council had never imagined. In Colorado, Dr. Lisa Chen watched the battle reports. 12 platforms destroyed, but 47 alien ships gone. The humans were losing, but they were making the aliens pay for every inch of space. "Dr. Chen," one of her technicians said, "we're receiving new orders from the president." Lisa read the message. Her hands trembled slightly. "It's time. Activate the quantum disruptor field." The technician hesitated. "Are you sure? We only get one chance at this." Lisa looked at the screen showing Guardian 7's destruction. She thought about Amy Rodriguez and all the other brave souls fighting in space. They had bought time with their lives. Now it was her turn to make that sacrifice matter. "Do it," she said firmly. "Activate the field." Part 2, the broadcast reached Earth 6 hours after Jake Morrison's meeting with the Council. President Claire Hamilton sat in the Situation Room beneath the White House, surrounded by military advisors and world leaders connected via secure video feeds. The room's walls displayed maps, tactical data, and live feeds from observatories tracking the alien fleet. Claire was 53 years old.
She had been president for 2 years.
Nothing in her political career had prepared her for this moment. She looked at the faces on the screens. The Prime Minister of India, the Premier of China, the President of Brazil, the Chancellor of Germany, leaders from every major nation on Earth. "They've given us 72 hours, she said. Her voice was steady. "We need to decide how to respond." General Henry Blake stood near the main display. He was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had spent 40 years in the military, rising through the ranks to become chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. "Madam President," Henry said, "our intelligence suggests they're not bluffing. We've counted 314 warships positioned throughout the solar system. Each one is roughly the size of an aircraft carrier. Their weapons technology is at least 200 years ahead of ours." "So you're saying we can't fight them?" Claire said. Henry paused. "I'm saying we can't win a conventional battle, not yet. Not with what they know we have." Claire caught the emphasis on the last words. "Explain." Henry pulled up a classified file. "For the past 30 years, we've been working on something in collaboration with several other nations. It started as a theoretical project. After we detected the first alien probes entering our system 12 years ago, we accelerated development." He showed images of a massive underground facility. "This is Site 7 in Colorado. Dr. Lisa Chen and her team have been developing a quantum disruptor field. It's designed to interfere with the specific energy signatures used in galactic standard technology." The French president leaned forward on his screen. "Does it work?" "We think so," Henry said. "We've tested it on salvaged alien technology from crashed probes. It completely shuts down their power systems. But we've never tested it at full scale, and we only get one shot." Claire stood and walked to the window. Outside, the morning sun was rising over Washington. People were going about their lives. They didn't know yet. In a few hours, she would tell them. "What are our other options?" she asked. The Russian premier spoke up. "We have none. If we fight, we die. If we surrender, we lose everything that makes us human. At least fighting gives us dignity." "Dignity doesn't save lives," the Japanese prime minister said. "We have a responsibility to our people." "And what kind of people will they become under alien rule?" the Brazilian president countered. "Slaves who forgot they were ever free." Claire turned back to face the room. "I need to hear from Dr. Chen. Get her on a secure line." 5 minutes later, Lisa Chen's face appeared on the main screen. She looked exhausted. Her black hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. Behind her, technicians worked at various stations. "Dr. Chen," Claire said, "give me the truth. Can your disruptor field protect Earth?" Lisa took a breath. The honest answer? I don't know. Our models suggest it should work. The math is solid. The small-scale tests were successful. But we're talking about projecting a field that covers millions of kilometers of space. The power requirements are enormous, and if it fails, Claire asked. If it fails, we've revealed our best weapon and gained nothing. They'll adapt and we'll be defenseless. And if it works? Lisa's eyes showed a spark of something. Hope, maybe, or perhaps just determination. If it works, every alien ship within range becomes a floating piece of metal. No power, no shields, no weapons. They'll be helpless, Claire nodded. How long do you need? We're ready now. We've been ready for 3 days. I just need your authorization to activate. Not yet, Claire said. We have 72 hours. I want to use that time. General Blake, coordinate with all military forces worldwide. I want every asset we have positioned and ready. Dr. Chen, keep your team on standby. She looked at all the faces on the screens. And I need to address the world. People deserve to know what's happening. 2 hours later, every television, every computer, every phone on Earth displayed the same image. President Hamilton sat at her desk in the Oval Office. The camera showed her clearly. She wore a simple blue suit. No jewelry. No makeup artist had touched her face. She wanted people to see her as she truly was. My fellow citizens of Earth, she began. Today, I must tell you something that will change our world forever. We are not alone in the universe, and those who share the cosmos with us have come to our home with demands. She explained the Galactic Council, the ultimatum, the 72-hour deadline. She didn't sugarcoat the danger. She didn't pretend Earth had an easy path forward. These beings believe they can force us to surrender our freedom, Claire said. They believe that showing us their superior technology will make us afraid. They believe we will choose survival over liberty. She paused, letting her words sink in. They are wrong, she said firmly. Throughout human history, we have faced extinction many times. Ice ages, plagues, wars that threatened to consume us. Every time we survived. Not because we were the strongest or the fastest, but because we refused to give up. Because we believed that living free was worth any cost. Claire leaned forward. I will not surrender our planet. I will not trade our children's freedom for a few more years of life under alien control. And I know you won't either. She explained the plan in general terms. Earth would resist. They had weapons the aliens didn't know about. The fight would be dangerous. Many might die. But, Claire said, we will face this threat as one people, not as Americans or Chinese or Europeans or Africans. As humans, united, unbroken, unafraid. Her final words echoed across the planet. They gave us 72 hours to surrender. I say we use those 72 hours to show them what humanity is really made of. The broadcast ended. For a moment, silence covered Earth. Then the response began. Not panic, not chaos, something else entirely. In New York City, people poured into Times Square. They didn't riot or loot. They gathered together, singing songs and holding hands. In Tokyo, millions lit candles on their balconies. In Mumbai, families came outside to watch the stars and remember that humans belonged up there too. In Paris, an old man who had survived World War III raised a flag from his window. Others did the same. Soon the city blazed with the colors of every nation. In São Paulo, artists painted murals on buildings showing humans reaching for the stars. The world came together in a way it never had before. Old enemies set aside grudges. Rich and poor stood shoulder to shoulder. Every person understood that the next 3 days might be humanity's last. So they chose to spend those days being truly human. Jake Morrison landed back on Earth 20 hours after his meeting with the Council. His wife and daughter met him at the base. He held them both tight, not wanting to let go. Did you do it? His wife asked. Did you tell them no? Jake nodded. I told them exactly what we planned. His daughter looked up at him. Are the bad aliens going to hurt us? Jake knelt down to her level. They're going to try, but we're going to fight back. And you know what? I think we're going to surprise them. Across the planet, military forces prepared. Soldiers checked their weapons. Pilots ran simulations. Naval vessels moved into position. And in Colorado, Dr. Lisa Chen watched her screens and waited for the order that would change everything. Part 4, the quantum disruptor field activated at exactly 1400 hours Greenwich Mean Time. Deep beneath the Colorado mountains, massive generators hummed to life. Power from 3 nuclear reactors and a dozen solar farms channeled into a device that had taken 30 years to build. Dr. Lisa Chen watched the readouts carefully. Field generation at 20%. 30%. Stable so far. Her lead technician, a young man named Peter Cruz, monitored the power consumption. We're drawing more energy than projected. The reactors are compensating, but we're running hot. Can they handle it? Lisa asked, for now. But if we stay at maximum power for more than 6 hours, we risk a meltdown. Lisa nodded. Hopefully we won't need 6 hours. Bring the field to full strength. The generator's hum became a roar. Throughout the facility, lights dimmed as every available watt of power fed into the quantum disruptor. The device itself was deceptively simple-looking, just a sphere of metallic alloy suspended in a magnetic field. But the mathematics behind it were incredibly complex. The sphere began to glow. First red, then orange, then brilliant white. Energy rippled outward in waves that couldn't be seen by human eyes. The field expanded at the speed of light, racing through space like an invisible tide. In orbit, Vorthak was organizing his forces for another assault on Earth's remaining defense platforms. His fleet had taken significant losses, more than he had anticipated. But victory was still certain. The humans simply didn't have enough weapons to stop 300 warships. Prepare for bombardment of the remaining platforms, he ordered. Once they're destroyed, we'll begin targeting military installations on the surface. His tactical officer began inputting commands. Then he stopped. His hands froze over the controls. Commander, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Vorthak demanded. Power fluctuation across all systems. Shields are dropping. Weapons offline. Main engines are shutting down. Vorthak felt a chill run through his body. What? Check for malfunctions. Run diagnostics. Already running. Commander, it's not just us. I'm receiving emergency signals from every ship in the fleet. They're all experiencing the same failures. On screens throughout the command ship, systems began going dark. Life support remained functional, but little else. The great warship that had crossed the galaxy now floated helplessly in space, as inert as a piece of space junk. This is impossible, Vorthak whispered. Our technology is shielded against electromagnetic pulses. Nothing the humans have should be able to affect our systems. His science officer pulled up what data he could on emergency power. Commander, this isn't an electromagnetic effect. It's something else. Something that's targeting the quantum coherence fields that power our technology. In simple terms, Vorthak snapped, they've found a way to turn off our ships, sir. Every vessel within 3 million kilometers of Earth is affected. Vorthak stared out the viewport at the blue planet below. How had these primitives developed such a weapon? The Galactic Council had been watching Earth for decades. There had been no sign of this kind of technology. On Earth, President Hamilton watched satellite feeds showing the alien fleet. Every single ship had gone dark. No engines. No shields. No weapons. 300 warships rendered completely helpless in an instant. Dr. Chen, Claire said over the comm, I don't know what you built, but it's working. The entire alien fleet is dead in space. Lisa allowed herself a small smile. The field is stable, Madam President. We can maintain it for up to 6 hours before we need to power down for cooling. Understood. Keep it active for now. Claire switched channels. General Blake, status of our forces? Henry's voice came through clearly. All remaining platforms report they're unaffected. The field seems to specifically target alien technology. Our systems are functioning normally. Claire nodded to herself. Good. Open a channel to the alien flagship. It's time we had another conversation with Vorthak. Aboard his disabled ship, Vorthak received the incoming transmission. He had no choice but to accept it. His ship's emergency power could support communications, if nothing else. President Hamilton's face appeared on his screen. She looked different from before. More confident. More dangerous, Vorthak, she said calmly. I believe we were in the middle of a conversation about surrender. The alien's eyes narrowed. What have you done? We've leveled the playing field, Claire replied. Your ships are now about as useful as very expensive pieces of metal floating in space. Meanwhile, our weapons are functioning perfectly. Vorthak wanted to argue, to threaten, to do anything to regain control of the situation. But he was a military commander. He recognized when he had been outmaneuvered. You couldn't have developed this technology, he said. Your species hasn't even mastered faster than light travel. Claire smiled. That's your problem, Vorthak. You assumed that because we haven't developed the same technology as you, we must be primitive. But humans have always been good at finding different solutions to problems. While you were perfecting energy shields and plasma weapons, we were studying the fundamental forces that make your technology work. She leaned forward, and then we found a way to turn it off. Vorthak's body flushed through several colors, emotions playing across his alien features. Fear, anger, disbelief. What happens now? He asked quietly. Now, Claire said, we discuss new terms, but this time humanity will be doing the dictating. She pulled up a document. First, you will order all council ships to evacuate their crews to vessels beyond the disruption field. We'll provide you with the exact coordinates. You have 48 hours to complete the evacuation. And then we're going to salvage your ships. We need the materials. Earth is expanding its orbital defense network, and 300 alien warships will provide plenty of useful components. Vorthak felt humiliation burning through him. To have his fleet captured and stripped for parts by the very species he had come to conquer, the Council would never forgive him. There's more, Claire continued. We're transmitting the technical specifications for the quantum disruptor to every human vessel and station in the solar system. We're also making it available to any species that asks politely. You're giving away your greatest weapon? Vorthak couldn't hide his surprise. We're sharing a defensive technology, Claire corrected. The disruptor field has a limited range. It's only useful for protecting a planet or station, not for offensive operations, but it will make it much harder for anyone to threaten or conquer other species. She paused. The galaxy has been run by whoever had the biggest guns for too long. That ends now. We're offering a way for smaller, less militaristic species to defend themselves. Whether they choose to use it is up to them. Vorthak realized the implications. The power structure of the entire Galactic Council was based on military might. If every world could defend itself with this technology, conquest became impossible. Everything would have to change. The Council will never accept this, he said. The Council doesn't have a choice, Claire replied. Your ships are helpless. Your fleet is defeated, and we're about to prove to the entire galaxy that your threats are empty. She stood up. You have 48 hours to evacuate your crews. Use that time wisely. When we next speak, it will be to discuss the terms of a new galactic order, one based on cooperation, not domination. The transmission ended. Vorthak sat in his darkened command center, surrounded by useless technology. He thought about his long career, the worlds he had seen conquered, the species that had been forced into submission. All of it was ending. Because one small stubborn species had refused to kneel, his second-in-command approached. Commander, what are your orders? Vorthak took a long breath. Begin evacuation procedures. Contact all ships and coordinate with the human schedule. And after the evacuation? After? Vorthak looked at his officer. After, we go home and tell the Council that the galaxy has changed, and that we are no longer in control. On Earth, celebrations began. News of the victory spread quickly. The alien fleet had been defeated without destroying Earth. Humanity had not only survived, but had won. Jake Morrison watched the celebrations from his home. His daughter danced around the living room, not fully understanding what had happened, but caught up in the joy of the moment. His wife held his hand. Is it really over? She asked. Jake thought about Vorthak's fleet, helpless in orbit. He thought about the quantum disruptor field and how it changed everything. He thought about what would happen next. No, he said softly. It's not over. It's just beginning. In space, Amy Rodriguez floated in her rescue pod, waiting for recovery teams. Through the small window, she could see the alien fleet, dark and lifeless. She also saw Earth, beautiful and blue and free. She had lost her command. Many of her crew were dead. But humanity had won, and that made every sacrifice worth it. Guardian 7 to any recovery vessel, she transmitted. I'm ready to come home. Part 5, 6 months after the battle, Jake Morrison stood in a very different chamber than before. The Covenant sphere had been renovated. Where once it had been sterile white, it now showed windows displaying the stars. The circle of floating aliens remained, but 7 new positions had been added. These held representatives from species that had recently joined what was being called the New Council. Jake wore a simple suit now, not his military uniform. Earth had appointed him as their official ambassador. 7 other humans stood with him, each an expert in different fields. Dr. Lisa Chen was there, representing Earth's scientific community. General Blake stood at attention, now retired but still commanding respect. Amy Rodriguez, promoted to admiral, wore her new uniform with pride. Vorthak was present too, but he no longer held the position of speaker. He sat among the other council members, his body a dull gray color. The humiliation of his defeat had cost him his authority. The new speaker was a being called Myrath, from a species that resembled large birds with shimmering feathers. Her people had been under council protection for centuries. Now, with access to Earth's quantum disruptor technology, they had claimed their independence. This council recognizes Ambassador Morrison of Earth, Mirath said. Her voice came through the translators as musical and clear. Jake stepped forward. Thank you, Speaker Mirath. Today Earth presents a proposal for a new galactic charter, one based on principles that we believe should be universal. He activated a holographic display. Words appeared in dozens of languages simultaneously. First, no species has the right to conquer or enslave another. Military force should only be used in self-defense. Several older council members shifted uncomfortably. This principle directly challenged how they had operated for millennia. Second, Jake continued, all species have the right to self-determination. No outside force should dictate how a civilization governs itself or develops its technology. Third, technology and knowledge should be shared freely among those who ask in good faith. The hoarding of defensive capabilities only creates imbalance and encourages aggression. Fourth, disputes between species should be resolved through mediation and negotiation, not through threats or force. Jake looked around the chamber. These principles aren't revolutionary. They're basic rights that any intelligent species should enjoy. Earth isn't asking for special treatment. We're asking for equality. A large insectoid being raised one of its many limbs. Jake recognized it as Klethak, representative of a species that had built its power through military conquest. These principles sound noble, Klethak clicked, but they ignore reality. The strong have always ruled. The weak have always served. This is the natural order. Natural order? Amy Rodriguez stepped forward. She hadn't been scheduled to speak, but Jake didn't stop her. Let me tell you about natural order. 6 months ago, your fleet came to Earth believing you were strong. You had hundreds of ships. You had weapons we couldn't match. By your definition, you were the strong and we were the weak. She pointed at Klethak. But we defeated you. Does that make us the strong now? Should we conquer your worlds because we have the power to do so? You wouldn't dare, Klethak hissed. No, Amy said firmly. We wouldn't. Not because we lack the strength, but because we believe that might doesn't make right. We believe that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Lisa Chen joined the conversation. The quantum disruptor has changed the balance of power in this galaxy. We've shared it with 47 species so far. That number grows every week. Soon every world will have the ability to defend itself against any aggressor. She looked at the council members. You can resist these changes. You can try to hold on to the old ways, but the galaxy is evolving whether you like it or not. The only question is whether you want to be part of that evolution or be left behind. Vorthak spoke for the first time. His voice was quiet, lacking the arrogance Jake remembered from their first meeting. The human speaks the truth. I have spent the last 6 months studying Earth's history. I have learned about your wars, your struggles, your failures and successes. He paused. What I found surprised me. Humans are not unique in their violence. Many species fight among themselves. But humans are unique in their ability to learn from their mistakes. You created the concept of war crimes. You established rules for conflict. You built international laws to protect the weak. Vorthak's eyes focused on Jake. You did all of this while still fighting each other. Imagine what you can accomplish now that you're united. Imagine what the galaxy can accomplish if we adopt these same principles. Mirath spoke again. The Council will vote on Earth's proposal. But first we must address a practical concern. If we adopt these principles, what happens to species that refuse to follow them? What happens to civilizations that continue to conquer and enslave? General Blake answered, Earth proposes a collective defense agreement. Any species that signs the new charter pledges to defend other signatories if they're attacked. An attack on one becomes an attack on all. You would defend worlds you've never visited? Klethak asked skeptically. Species you have nothing in common with? Yes, Blake said simply. Because defending freedom anywhere strengthens freedom everywhere. When we allow bullies to operate unchecked, we give them permission to eventually come for us. He looked at Klethak directly. Your species has conquered 8 worlds in the last century. Under this new charter, you would need to grant those worlds independence and pay reparations for the damage you caused. Are you willing to do that? Klethak's body shifted through several colors. Anger, clearly, but also something else. Perhaps fear. The insectoid being realized that refusing might mean facing a coalition of defended worlds instead of isolated victims. My people will need time to consider this. Clethek said finally. Of course, Jake replied. This is a significant change. We're not asking for an immediate answer, but we are asking you to seriously consider what kind of galaxy you want to live in. The council debated for hours. Some species embraced Earth's proposals immediately. Others raised concerns about enforcement, about exceptions, about specific situations. Jake and his team answered each question patiently. Finally, Mirath called for a vote. All in favor of adopting Earth's proposed charter as the foundation for a new galactic council? Lights appeared above each representative indicating their votes. Green for yes, red for no. Jake held his breath as the votes were tallied. 73 green lights, 28 red, 12 abstentions. The measure passes, Mirath announced. The charter is adopted. The Galactic Council will restructure according to these new principles. Celebrations erupted among the representatives who had voted yes. Species that had lived under the thumb of more powerful neighbors saw hope for the first time in generations. The old guard sat in stunned silence, watching their centuries of dominance crumble. Jake felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see Vorthak standing behind him. Well played, Ambassador, the alien said. You've changed the galaxy in just 6 months. I'm not sure if I should congratulate you or curse you. Why not both? Jake replied with a slight smile. Vorthak's body rippled in what might have been laughter. Perhaps. Tell me, what will Earth do now? You have power, technology, and the respect of dozens of species. You could build an empire of your own. Jake shook his head. We didn't fight for our freedom just to take someone else's. Earth wants to explore, to learn, to share what we know. We want to be part of a galactic community, not rulers of it. A noble goal, Vorthak said. I hope you can maintain that idealism. So do I, Jake admitted. But we have something that will help us stay on track. What's that? Memory. Every human knows what it feels like to be threatened with slavery. We remember the fear, the anger, the determination to resist. As long as we remember that feeling, we'll fight to make sure no other species experiences it. Vorthak nodded slowly. Then perhaps there is hope for this galaxy after all. The meeting concluded. Jake and his team returned to their shuttle for the journey back to Earth. As they traveled through space, Jake looked out the window at the stars. 6 months ago, humanity had been alone, facing extinction. Now they were part of something larger. What are you thinking? Lisa asked, floating over to join him. I'm thinking about how much has changed, Jake said, and how much more will change. Are you worried? A little. We've set something in motion that we can't stop. The galaxy is going to be very different in a few years. Amy joined them at the window. Different doesn't mean bad. We've given other species a chance to be free. That's worth any risk, Jake nodded. I agree. I just hope we're ready for what comes next. We defeated the Galactic Council fleet, Amy said with a grin. I think we can handle whatever the universe throws at us. The shuttle approached Earth. The planet looked peaceful from space. No sign of the recent battle visible from this distance. But Jake knew that beneath that serene exterior, humanity was preparing for its new role in galactic affairs. New ships were being built, incorporating both human ingenuity and recovered alien technology. Diplomatic corps were training to interact with dozens of species. Scientists were collaborating with alien researchers, sharing knowledge that had been hoarded for centuries. Earth had been forced into the galactic stage. But now that they were... Part 6, 3 years had passed since the Battle of Earth's orbit. The galaxy looked very different now. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, Earth's first true exploration vessel. The ship combined human engineering with alien technology, creating something unique. It was fast, well-armed, and carried a crew of 200 from 15 different species. Humans worked alongside aliens who had once been enemies. We're approaching the Kepler system, the navigator reported. She was a young woman named Kate Sullivan, fresh from the academy. 4 planets, 2 in the habitable zone. Any signs of civilization? Jake asked. He was the ship's captain now, promoted after his successful work as ambassador. Negative, but we're detecting unusual energy readings from the 3rd planet. Could be natural, could be artificial. Jake nodded. All right. Standard first contact protocols. Dr. Chen, get your team ready for analysis. Lisa had joined the Defiant's crew as chief science officer. She thrived in the exploration role, studying new worlds and new forms of life. Already prepared, Captain. We'll start with orbital surveys before attempting landing. The Defiant moved into orbit around the planet. It was beautiful, covered in purple vegetation and orange oceans. Clouds swirled in complex patterns. But something was wrong. The readings showed a civilization had existed here recently. Cities could be seen from orbit. But there were no life signs, Captain, Kate said quietly. I think we found what happened to them. She put an image on the main screen. It showed debris in orbit. Not natural asteroids, but the remains of ships, weapons platforms, defense satellites, all destroyed. How long ago? Jake asked. Lisa ran calculations. Based on orbital decay and radiation signatures, approximately 18 months. Whatever happened here, it wasn't recent. But it was after we shared the quantum disruptor technology, Jake said grimly. This civilization should have been able to defend itself. Amy Rodriguez entered the bridge. She was the Defiant's executive officer, second in command. Captain, I've analyzed the debris field. These defenses were hit hard and fast. Massive, overwhelming force. The old council? Jake wondered aloud. No, Amy said. The weapon signatures don't match any known council species. This is someone new. Or someone we haven't met yet. Jake felt a chill. The new galactic order was still fragile. If a powerful species was out there, one that hadn't signed the charter, they could threaten everything humanity had worked to build. Take us down, he ordered. We need to learn what happened here. The Defiant descended through the atmosphere. As they approached the largest city, the scale of destruction became clear. Buildings had been reduced to rubble. Streets were torn apart. No bodies were visible, which was somehow worse than finding them. A landing party assembled in the shuttle bay. Jake led the team personally. Lisa came along, as did Amy and a security detail. They also brought Kresh, a former council soldier who had joined Earth service. The large reptilian being was an expert in military tactics. Stay alert, Jake said as the shuttle landed in what had been a city square. We don't know if whoever did this is still around. They stepped out into an alien city. The architecture was strange but beautiful, with flowing lines and integration with the natural landscape. Or it had been beautiful, now everything was broken. Lisa pulled out scanning equipment. I'm not detecting any biological material. No bodies, no remains. It's like the entire population just vanished. Not vanished, Kresh said. He was examining scorch marks on a nearby building. Taken, these are capture beam signatures. Whoever attacked this world, they didn't just destroy. They harvested? Jake felt sick. You mean they took the population as slaves? Or worse, Kresh replied. Some species in the outer regions use other beings as food or raw materials for biotech. Amy checked her weapon. We need to find out who did this. They might hit other worlds. The team spread out, searching for clues. Jake entered what looked like a government building. Inside, he found terminals still functioning on emergency power. The alien language appeared on screens, but the Defiant's computers could translate. He downloaded files and recordings. One caught his attention. It was labeled as a final transmission. Jake played it. The screen showed an alien being, roughly humanoid but with blue skin and large black eyes. It spoke frantically in its native language. This is Administrator Pella of Kepler 3. We are under attack. Ships appeared in our system without warning. Dozens of them. They ignored all attempts at communication. Our quantum disruptor field had no effect on their vessels. I repeat, the disruptor does not stop them. The transmission showed explosions in the background. Pella continued speaking. They're using some kind of capture technology. They're taking people alive. The military has fallen. The government shelters are being breached. If anyone receives this message, warn the others. Tell them the harvesters have returned. The transmission cut off abruptly. Jake stood in silence, processing what he had heard. Captain. Lisa's voice came through his comm. You need to see this. Jake found her in what appeared to be a library or archive. She had pulled up historical records on a functioning terminal. Look at this, Lisa said. This civilization kept records going back thousands of years. And they mention the harvesters multiple times. It's not a species name. It's a title for something that appears every few centuries. She showed Jake images. Different species, different planets, all attacked by vessels matching similar descriptions. The pattern repeated throughout history. It's like a cycle, Lisa said. The harvesters appear. They take what they want from a civilization, then they disappear for centuries. No one knows where they come from or where they go. And the quantum disruptor doesn't affect them, Jake said quietly. That's what Pela said. Our greatest defensive technology is useless. Amy and Kresh joined them in the archive. They had found similar information in other buildings. "This is bad," Amy said bluntly. "We've built the new council on the assumption that the disruptor makes everyone equal. If there's a force out there that's immune to it, everything changes." Kresh rumbled in agreement. The old council kept records of the harvesters. Legends mostly, stories told to frighten young warriors. But all the legends agree on one thing. The harvesters cannot be stopped. Only survived. Jake made a decision. Get everything you can from this archive. Every record, every image, every piece of data about the harvesters. We're bringing it all back to Earth. And then? Lisa asked. And then we warn the council. Every species needs to know what's out there. The team worked quickly, downloading terabytes of information. As they prepared to leave, Jake took one last look at the ruined city. Somewhere out there, the people who had lived here were prisoners. Or worse, the shuttle returned to the Defiant. Jake immediately ordered a course back to Earth at maximum speed. Along the way, he transmitted an urgent message to the Council and to Earth Command. "This is Captain Morrison of the Defiant. We have discovered evidence of a new threat, one that predates the Council itself. All defensive strategies need to be reevaluated immediately." The journey home took 2 weeks. During that time, Lisa and her team analyzed everything they had found. The picture that emerged was disturbing. The harvesters operated on a cycle that seemed tied to galactic development. When civilizations reached a certain level of advancement, the harvesters appeared. They would strip a world of its population and resources, then vanish for centuries. Dozens of civilizations throughout history had been destroyed this way. But why? Jake asked during a briefing. What do they want with these people? The records aren't clear, Lisa admitted. Some theories suggest the harvesters are builders of some kind, using captured populations as labor for massive projects. Others think they're biological collectors, preserving species for unknown purposes. A few sources claim they're not even from this galaxy. Great, Amy muttered. Interdimensional kidnappers. Just what we needed. The Defiant arrived at Earth to find a fleet assembled in orbit. Ships from a dozen species had gathered, all displaying the symbols of the new council. President Hamilton contacted Jake immediately. "Your message caused quite a stir," she said. "The council has called an emergency session. They want your full report." Jake and his senior officers presented their findings to the council. The chamber was packed. Representatives from over 100 species attended in person or via hologram. The mood was tense. Jake showed the footage from Kepler-3. He displayed the historical records. He explained the cycle of attacks and disappearances. The quantum disruptor was designed to stop the technology we knew about, he concluded. But the harvesters use something different, something we don't understand yet, which means every world in this council is vulnerable. Speaker Mirath spoke. You say these attacks follow a pattern. Can we predict when and where they might strike next? Lisa stepped forward. We've been analyzing the data. The harvesters seem to target civilizations that have recently achieved certain technological milestones. Faster than light travel, quantum computing, advanced biotechnology. Once a species reaches these levels, they become targets within a century. She pulled up a star chart. Several systems were highlighted in red. Based on the historical pattern, these 12 systems are most at risk. They've all achieved the necessary technological level within the last 50 years.